لايف.
اوكي، اهلا وسهلا بيكم. ازيكم تاني بعد اللانش بريك. انا اسمي سلمى عسوي. I represent the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology. We are a partner in both projects, actually responsible for the Innovation Week, and also a partner in the FEMAC project and Next Lab project. Of course, a huge thanks to our Tunisian colleague for this amazing event, and this how it looks like it's very interesting as well. I've been following since morning the sessions, and really I wish the best for all my colleagues. So I will introduce my panelists. We'll start with Ms. Margaret Nagdi. She has over than 12 years of experience in the entrepreneurship field from both an academic and practical dimension as well. Ms. Margaret works with many organizations, national and regional, designing and implementing support programs for entrepreneurs, startups and SMEs and innovation. Ms. Margaret worked with over than 3,000 entrepreneurs and more than 70 startups operating in e-commerce, agribusiness, education, and social entrepreneurship. Also, she has participated in several round tables and panel discussions. Of course, if I start talking with Ms. Margaret, it will take me hours to tell you her bio, as well as, of course, my Mr. Karim Malawani is an executive director at Heliopolis University Entrepreneurship Center for Social Impact. He worked with more than 400 startups in the field of business development, strategic planning, and market designing strategy. He's received his bachelor degree in economics from the American University in Cairo. And he has interest in business development, startup growth, people performance, increasing impact in the and for-profit organizations. Of course, as well, I will also leave a room for you later to add if you need to add something else. My dear colleague, Ms. Bisma Saoud, I was honored to have her earlier in a TTO training that was organized by the Academy of Scientific Research. She is the head of research and valorization and technology transfer, chief engineer of the Center de Biotechnologie Borg Sidra, CBBC. I'll try to my best. So, Ms. Basma Saoud is also technology transfer manager at the Biotechnology Center, head of valorization and technology transfer unit. And she is also a coordinator and project manager for many EU projects. Mr. Hamza also is, I'm glad to meet her today. I'm glad to meet him today for the first time, but of course it won't be the last one. He holds a BBA in finance from Tunisia Business School. He participated in Thomas Jefferson Exchange Program in West Virginia University and earned his mini MBA in general management for executives from India. Mr. Hamza has 6 years of experience in the Tunisian entrepreneurial ecosystem. He worked with national and international NGOs on projects supporting youth-led initiatives through organizing capacity building trainings, designing and managing incubation program, as well as supporting startups in their entrepreneurial journey. Also, he is the director of Technoriyat, a program aimed at supporting 24 technology-based startups by providing a tailored incubation and acceleration curriculum for researchers. Ms. Cristal is currently the programs director at Beritech. She managed the projects lab unit responsible for the designing, development, and fundraising, partnership development, and managing of innovation, entrepreneurship, and economic development programs on the local and international scale. And I was blessed to work with her many times in different projects. So with these very interesting panelists, I would like to raise, we are now talking about the main topic we have today is Nexus hubs and the KPIs. Not only the KPIs, the framework of the hubs. All of you has participated somehow on creating one or participating in one. If you are participating since the morning, you will see the complexity of the Nexus itself by per se. How about we transform it into a hub? What do you think? We'll start by our first question, for example, the interaction among different stakeholders and actors. How do you see it from your experience? So The floor is open, please.
Okay, I can start. So thank you for the introduction. And hello to all my colleagues here in the panel. So I think the interaction, I think that the cooperation between the hubs is it's getting better now, but in the past few years, there was a big issue because there was so much duplication in the activities and depletion of resources, incredible depletion of resources, because we're doing the same thing. But I think the framework right now, especially in Egypt, is actually becoming stronger. The networks that are being built through projects and through initiatives and around the world, nations and governments are taking a leap in entrepreneurship as well, and putting their faith into innovation and entrepreneurs. So I think it's getting better in terms of collaborative efforts. On individual basis, the different stakeholders are now, you can really identify the different stakeholders. I mean, like 5 years ago, you couldn't, at least in my opinion, it was very difficult to identify if this is an investment or a funding agency, or if it's a support organization, or if they are a startup on their own. The lines weren't clear and the roles weren't well identified. So I think it's now much clearer, and and that is helping the framework become much stronger, because everyone now knows what to do, when to start. No one is repeating what the others are doing, so they continue and capitalize on each other. That's what I can add to this.
Thank you, Margaret, for your intervention. Christelle, what do you think about the magnitude of transforming Nexus Hub into the active ecosystem?
Hello, everyone. So it's a pleasure being with you today. I think it's so turning the interaction among different stakeholders into a hub and structuring, providing a platform for exchange is crucial to improving the innovation in Nexus and addressing the Nexus challenges in the region. I think it's very important to bring closer different type of stakeholder, be it university, incubators, industrial, SMEs, to really exchange, like Margaret said, so in a more synergized approach, and really make sure to address challenges that we are currently facing in the market. So bringing really research innovation into reality and bridging those stakeholders through platforms, whether online or regional events, to create that interaction and really match the demand, the offer, the expertise in a more synergized way to have better impact and better results.
Very good. Any reflections from Hamza? Please go ahead.
Yes, hi. So pleased to meet you all and pleased to be with you on this panel today. So I'm going to talk about a specific project that was launched, I think, 14 months ago here in Tunisia, which is the program that I'm working with, Technoriat. We noticed that researchers here in Tunisia, they lack entrepreneurial project or initiatives or incentives. We noticed that most of our researchers here in Tunisia, or I think it goes to other neighboring countries, North African neighboring countries, they lack patenting internationally. So most of the researchers, they do the research and they patent their ideas or business ideas or research ideas here only in Tunisia. And there is also a lack of transforming the prototype to the industry. So we thought about creating Technoriat, which is a program that helps researchers take their research ideas or research results to the business world. And before starting this program, we developed several partnerships. And I see here Basma with us. So we contacted technoparks, Tunisian technoparks, other grantors and funders, Tunisians and internationals. And please, Salma, stop me when I pass my time, okay? So we contacted the technoparks, and, because here in Tunisia, most of all researchers, they are based within the technoparks. So we said, we have this opportunity. Why don't you help us recruit researchers, and we're going to help them to develop their research ideas, take their businesses to the international level, patent their research results in Tunisia and internationally, and we're going to help them take their prototypes to the business world. One funny story, if you ask us what was the program before launching Technoriad, or what is your curriculum for the next 3 months, I will say we don't have a program yet, because we have a tailor-made program. Each participant have his own program and his own curriculum based on his field of expertise, based on his research idea, and based on his maturity level. Yeah, thank you.
Are you using kind of hub for that, or a portal or something?
Yes, actually, Technoriad is the hub.
Perfect. So
yeah, it's a newly born hub.
You can reflect on that. We are more interested in the hub for now. We're talking about hubs and Nexus hubs, and how we can further develop it, and how we're like kind of having a guidelines or toolkit for having effective, sustainable hub. In a near future, we're going to have a hub in Next Lab. So your reflection will be more than valuable to us.
Yeah, actually, based on what we saw with the Technoriad program, we saw that in order to sustain this hub, we need to create like an independent entity. For now, we thought about creating 2 independent entities. One is to help the researchers to patent their businesses at the international level. And the second thing is a company or an NGO or an entity, we did not decide yet, to help researchers take their prototypes from the lab or from the technopark to the business world. Because here in Tunisia, we have a problem that is how to sustain programs, hubs, incubators, and accelerators. So the thing that we thought about is to create these two entities, and they're gonna support the hub in the long run.
Okay. So Basma, do you have any reflection regarding this?
Yes, hello everyone. So because the Technopark of Boursadria, it's very important actor, or maybe this is Nexus Hub of Tunisia. Just I need a few times to introduce briefly the Technopark, to present the activities, because it's a real interesting in Nexus Hub, especially our Nexus Hub. So Technopark of Boursadria is very old, first maybe Technoparks in Tunisia, because the objective of Boursadria Technoparks is to stimulate, develop in Tunisia the research, development, and innovation in order to promote the results and to create innovative companies. So Boursadria Technopark consists of research and development space. It includes 4 research centers, namely the Energy Research and Technology Center, the Water Research and Technology Center, the National Center of Materials, and the Biotechnology Center. And we have a space of university training space. It's made up of 3 establishments of higher education, and namely the Higher Institute of Science and Technology Environment, the National School of Science and Technology Advanced, and the Higher Institute of Technology, Information and Communication STIC. So we have other priority sectors. So in this space of Technopark, we have an innovation space, also called technology transfer and services. It consists of business incubators that offer services, accommodation, supervision, support, and training for careers of innovative project, technical research center, and specialized units. It's a new creation. For example, for our center, Biotechnology Center, it's not new because we have 8 or 9 years to create this space to valorize the research results in our center. But now, with a new plan of our ministry that creates many specialized units to valorize the research and technology transfer. It's very helpful for our technoparks. So we have many infrastructure. We have all maybe the structure, technology transfer, incubator. We have people to assist the creation of spin-offs. And we have many PhD that participate in the, for example, TechnoRite program, and TechMed program, Startup Act. So we have many compounds in our Technopark, but we have to connect them to manage the organization, to have a plan, a very organized, how to communicate, how to interconnect all this infrastructure. We have, for example, financial projects, European, especially projects, for example, TechMed, SpeciMed, PP4Med, and we have the new creation, for example, Living Lab. Now we have to create Living Lab incubators with the TechMed project. So we select the project when we can assist them for 6 months. So, but maybe we have a few number of creation of spin-offs or startup because we haven't a model of innovation model in Tunisia. So I have many experience with European projects, for example, Trifond to manage transfer technology, Spanish, Korean, Japanese. But every time I said that we have to establish a Tunisian model of innovation system, how to connect them, how to working together, like my colleague that said that to working together with users, potential users, stakeholders, to make a strategy how to connect them and to create a new KPIs, because we have many KPIs, for example, number of publication, number of patents, but now we have to make another KPIs, for example, the quality of patents. We have national patents, we have to maybe depose international patents, not national, because national it's not very, I don't know, not very exploitable. We have to commercialize the patents, not in Tunisia, but in international level. To have another KPIs, for example, the number of creation of spin-offs, or to number of prototype made, like my colleague said.
So now you're answering the question, the other question I was going to ask, whether what could be KPIs for the hub, and also the hub should be like one of the solutions we are representing or presenting to solve your problem and your issues you have in Tunisia, as well as, of course, Egypt and Lebanon and so on. So having this, we're trying to have already addressing these issues by having a hub, and what it could be the KPIs for the hub we're having or we're going to establish soon. So Karim, what do you think about the first point we asked?
So hello everyone, it's an honor to be with you. I just want to capitalize on what Margaret had previously said, and also what Basma was just about saying. Now we have like a framework of the ecosystem, and we have an active ecosystem. We have like the funding agency, the incubator, the accelerator, and everything. What I think Nexus Hub can do in Egypt and maybe in Tunisia as well, and in many other countries, is to act as a bridge between the different stakeholders in the ecosystem. There is no clear linkage between incubators and accelerators, and we face some kind of challenges. For example, when I have an ideation phase startup applying for an acceleration program, or a scale-up startup applying for an incubation program that should looking for an ideation stage. So if we have this kind of a bridge between different stakeholders and a hub that we can create and innovate, I guess that would be a well-added value to Nexus Hub in any ecosystem, whether in Egypt or any other Arab countries as well.
So, okay, that could lead us to the other point we're having here, the measuring the success of Nexus Hubs beyond the quantitative indicators. So what do you think we should have here?
I guess we have to start with the quantitative. That's very important, but I would also would suggest to start with the storytelling kind of indicators. There are a lot of indicators and data, and you can measure impact with storytelling, with actually measuring the success about the success stories or the best practices of every stakeholder that dealing with Nexus Hub. And this is how you can measure the impact. Impact is not only about numbers, because as you might know, we are an impact-driven organization, and we really care about what's in it for us and what's in it for the beneficiary that we are dealing with. So it's not only about how many participants you incubated or you trained or whatever, it's also what they actually got from you as a benefit and as an impact, whether it's a direct impact or an indirect impact. One of the trending I guess tools now in the storytelling impact measurement, and I guess it will be very successful if Nexus Hub can introduce such a tool to the ecosystem, because I'm not really familiar if any other organization is using such a tool, but it's in other pillars and in other development pillars, it has been used and very efficient right now.
Karim, you took another point I was adding outside the book I sent to you earlier, because I was listening to what the presenters earlier talking about, and actually I really like the demonstration of cases on the hub, and to see the benefits for smallholder farmers, for example, to see how could they benefit. They don't even see the further steps beyond that. Okay, this is good, but what is the benefit for me to have such cases? So you jumped to my other point. So
sorry for that.
This is the idea of having like a brainstorming or focused meeting. So to generate more ideas, or even to consolidate the other ones have been saying. So any thoughts you have, Christelle, Margaret? It's not by a row. So if you have something to say, please raise your hand and step in.
I can say something. I mean, I was about to say Karim's point actually, but since
all of us
we've covered yeah, because it is actually very impactful now. I agree that it's something that has, by coincidence, like no one understood the magnitude of storytelling, and once we've realized what it can do and the effect that like everyone is adopting that right now. So I think integrating that into almost every level and through the stakeholders, this can be the impact can be actually very great. Back to your question about the quantitative, like far from the quantitative and how we can measure the impact. I think one of the main problems, like we usually the developmental field usually goes towards the quantitative, as it is much easier to measure for the developmental field, because if you go into impact when you're speaking about development, you will never stop because the impact keeps going. But I think the number one issue is that, the number one step should be deciding on what to measure. What are the elements that you're measuring? Identify that to begin with, so you can understand that. If one of your KPIs is going to be, let's see where we're at in 20 years, then this is what you're going to do. Some of the qualitative, I'm not going to say qualitative, quantitative, but some other forms of impact that we have seen through our projects and initiatives is the impact on people, the transformation in the people themselves and in the, let's say, their surroundings, their areas. Their empowerment, especially women. When we work with women, the empowerment level is something that we've seen. I will begin by telling a story. One of our cases is actually one of the startups, one of very successful startups that we have. She started her incubation, not with us, but when she started her journey, her mother was actually attending with her. And that's how she tells the story, that her mother was attending with her because she comes from rural areas in Egypt where it's not really acceptable for females to just go out and about. So her mother was accompanying her, and her mother started to pick on some of the trainings, and she started to actually listen and actually be a participating attendee. That happened about a year ago or 2 years ago, and just this December, her mother got her first investment from one of our in Egypt. So her mother, she did not, she was just joining because her daughter was doing something, and now this just happened by coincidence. So I think this is an impact on its own. This is something that you will never have in your plans, but it is an impact. You did actually reach to a target group, or however you want to identify that person, without intending to actually do that. This can open gates to other things and can capitalize. So I think if we looked past the quantitative, past the numbers, I think this is where actual development happens, and this is when opportunities occur. Because when we look at checkpoints and say, like, we've reached 2,000, we've reached 100, we were able to upgrade 2 incubators or whatever, and you don't see where the gaps were, you just check a number, it will never be more than just a number. It will be a statistic in a report, but nothing more than that. If you can capitalize on everything else, and I will go back to what Karim said, is for a Nexus lab, for a Nexus hub, this is one of the main goals, is to be we have to, I mean, the developmental field depends on donors and etc. So we will have to depend on the quantitative, unfortunately, until we have the world has a very solid impact measurement tool that we can depend on. But yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay, Margaret. I just want to elaborate more of how we can measure such things. This is one of the things that we're tackling here. How we could measure things like that, intangible or not intangible. It's not on the main focus, you mean. So Hamza, you would like to answer?
Yeah, I'd like to second what Karim and Margaret were saying. For example, in our program, what we did before starting the program, we set a list of KPIs, and we said that we have to stick to them. When we launched the program, Corona happened. And I think it was a good thing for the program because we switched to online. So everything was delivered via Zoom. So we reached out to rural areas and very far areas in Tunisia. And at first, for example, we said that we're going to start with 24 researchers. Then we're going to select 12 that will integrate the incubation program. And then we're going to select 6 that will integrate the acceleration program. We said that it has to be 50-50, men and women. We have to help the researchers go to the international events and gatherings. And as I said, thanks to Corona, now we are delivering more than we were expecting. And another good thing that we created a community called Community of Technoliats, which is something that made us update the KPIs list. And it started with, I think it was 10 points, that 10 KPIs, and now we are at 20 KPIs. And as I said, as Karim said, we have to stick to the KPIs and we have to depend on the storytelling. We organized several roadshows. They were supposed to be physical, but we did all of them via Zoom. So we had 1,300 participants. They were interested in the program, and which was a good thing. So set a list of KPIs, stick to them, and update them along the road.
Crystal, Basma, would you like to intervene?
Hello again. So based on what my colleagues are discussing, I want to share like a concrete activity that we did in the context of FEMAC project, which is the go-to-market hackathon for basically innovations and research projects in the field, in the water, energy, and the food nexus field. So it's to say that it's very important to and interesting to see the impact when you introduce entrepreneurship activities to the research world. So be it hackathons or coaching or pitching or brokerage events. So it's very interesting to see the impact when you introduce the entrepreneurship concept and you incentivize researchers and they feel like really eager to contribute much more than publications and, you know, activating their innovation on the ground. And this is one example of a qualitative impact beyond numbers. So I want to say that data and the indicators, quantitative indicators are essential and very important, especially in this field, because it's a new approach in science, and we need to promote it and grow it. Yet and it's very important to share data to really have innovations addressing specific challenges and concerns in the region. Speaking about impact, it's very interesting to see the qualitative impact of our activities that is beyond, for example, the number of entrepreneurs recruited or the number of projects created, and to see the level of interaction between different stakeholders, the level of motivation of the researchers on whether pitching or attending events or building partnerships with industries. And I want to talk about building also on what was discussed about the importance of communication, especially in science. So speaking of case studies, testimonials, like doing a very strategic outreach campaign help increase the impact and share the message beyond to different target groups and make the concept of the Nexus innovation more familiar and more close to different stakeholders to address. So we've seen the impact and the motivation, and I want to talk especially about the research segment, because this is a very interesting segment for me, like to bring the people doing research closer to management, business, and commercialization.
That's great, Crystal. Thank you for sharing this. And actually, I was coming to how we can push the stakeholders to be actively engaged in the hubs. So reaching them is a point, and actively engage with a totally different story. So Basma, you have some ideas of how we can like make them actively engaged? So making a strategic campaigns could be reaching out for stakeholders. How we can make them actively participate?
First of all, it's must the stakeholders to be invited in the beginning of our project. So to motivate them to participate, to brainstorming, to have an idea how to make our maybe KPIs in the beginning when we start working with them. So to promote, to communicate the results, to do the events, now we have the possibility to talking online, so we can invite them every time when we have especially many projects. And for example, when we depose our patent, I would like to invite them in the beginning when we, for example, we want to drafting, because I assist the research to draft their patent, but independently. So we can invite them to see if this result is exploited or to be commercialized by the stakeholders. So maybe the stakeholders that must be in the beginning of our project. So to collaborate, to have an idea, to give us their needs. Especially their needs, because we working in research, we have many projects, but to respond their needs, it's not very practical activities here. But we have a research working with many industries, but not very organized. And they have maybe the contract or obstacle from contracting or IP. So it might be we invite them in the beginning to collaborate and to organize the projects when we start have real or concrete results. And secondly, to commercialize our results, because we have results, we have a patent, but not exploit. This is a major problem to valorize our research results. And I think that my colleague Hamza that said that the scaling up, the major problem of biotechnology center, especially how to scaling up our results. This step, we have this lack. We have results, we have maybe the stakeholders or the users, but when we want to motivate the stakeholders, we have to give them a prototype, something mature to make industrial activities. This is maybe what I think.
Thank you so much, Basma. I will take from your points of needs assessment. So can we have insights from the Nexus hubs for the needs assessment? So this is a question for the floor. So Karim?
No, sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Can we draw insights from the Nexus hub for needs assessment?
For the needs assessment, yes, definitely. I would just capitalize again on what Margaret just said. What we need to measure as an impact in order to have like a needs assessment for whatever stakeholders you are dealing with as the Nexus hub. So I guess this is the first question we need to ask ourselves. What kind of impact you're trying to impose on the ecosystem, especially when it comes to Egypt, because I have been working here in Egypt. So if we're going to the direction of my suggestion in the beginning, which is acting as a bridge between different stakeholders, maybe we can have some sort of connection between. Let's do it from a customer journey or a startup journey. Starting from a business idea or a university-based incubator. I have a fresh graduate who has an interest in doing an innovation or turning his graduation project or commercialization of his graduation project. What Nexus Hub can add to that? And then if he got to the business development phase or the business modeling phase, what Nexus Hub can do to that, and afterwards, if you got to the scale-up strategy, what Nexus Hub can do to that, and the investment stage. Accordingly, we can identify the gaps in different customer journey or the startup journey, and here maybe that's the needs assessment that you can start with at the beginning phase, and this is my suggestion. Yeah.
Any reflections of what Karim has said?
Yes, I second it first of all, and then I think maybe one of the things that we kind of assume when we start a project is there is a need for whatever we're doing. It's almost like a given, like whatever project is some of the projects or almost all the projects, sorry, that we do have you have a mandate, and as different organizations in the developmental field, we do have our KPIs, etc. But where do they come from? What are they stemming from? So, and I think an Nexus Lab, you should, as a Nexus Study Hub, should have something from the ground, from the, like you're basically working with, and since we're speaking about WEF, we're speaking about water, energy, and food. So we want to take from the ground, from our surroundings. So coming to what Karim said, as we are an incubation, because we work together actually. That's why we kind of capitalize on whatever we're saying, because we do work together. As a university-based incubator, we and within our surrounding, we're focused on sustainable development, for example, but we don't just start working on sustainable development. We always go back to whatever is happening around us and whatever is the need, and then we capitalize on that. So, for example, Egypt is now focused, because we are based in Egypt. Egypt is hosting this year COP27. So the entire nation is working towards climate change and starting projects and starting attention, starting the awareness about the climate changes and what we are going to do and prepare for COP27. This is one of our KPIs, for example. This is what we're doing. So we're seeing what everyone around us is actually doing, and then we can capitalize from that. There is a lack of needs assessment when it comes to, I believe, because every one of us, we do needs assessment, but after we already start, we have the plan. So we plan, and then the step number one is needs assessment. I think it should be needs assessment first and then the plan, which is something that we usually fall victims for, because we do a needs assessment for our vision of that project, but then this lets us unconsciously neglect all the efforts that are already in place, because now from whatever we're discussing and whatever we said, we're almost all doing the same thing in our respective fields and in different countries, etc. But we're doing the same thing. We're working in the same field, same target groups, and we're doing exactly the same thing. And I can definitely see different opportunities right now in just this meeting that we can collaborate on and capitalize and maximize the impact that we're doing. But because we've just started working and then started with a needs assessment for our own plan, so whatever we measured the needs for the plan that we already have, not as step number one. So I think this is what Nexus Labs and hubs should have, is that you can take it from the ground up, and then we can take the next steps, as maybe work as a pipeline for the labs and incubators already existing.
So any last word? We're almost done, and we're going to open the floor for we have a couple of questions here. So any we would like to reflect on something?
Yeah, just one quick thing. As Margaret said, having a bottom-up strategy would help in creating the Nexus House, because if you have like a standardized program for everyone, it doesn't work anymore. You can find everything on internet, on YouTube, on internet in general. But if you have a tailor-made program or curriculum for each target group, that will be more impactful and very helpful for them. Yeah, thank you.
Actually, that was one of my earlier questions. If we should have a hub for specific things, like targeted to a special local challenge around it. So you're in favor of this approach?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
it will have a bigger and more impact.
It will have a realistic impact,
Yeah.
not just an impact. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a question here. I hope you can help me with it. how you can make link to smart specialization strategies, in particular in Tunisia. So for Hamza and Ms. Basma?
It's very difficult question, because I think that our ministry start with establish the smart specialization strategy. So not all the country it's touched by the smart specialization. For example, when we have a project, now we don't project in H2020. So when we talking about smart specialization in Tunisia, we have to make this strategy, but not all the country is have smart specialization. Maybe some region in Tunisia we have, but it's not very developed. But I think that with the new program Horizon Europe, they have a very strong plan to do it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hamza, you want to add something?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
So another question from our colleague, actually, and partner in other many EU initiatives, Mr. Leonardo Pescenti. One KPI, he's suggesting that one KPI would be useful for agile and COVID implications. So yeah, I see that all of them are nodding. So yeah, we accept that could be one of the KPIs that we're going to use in the hub. So any last words before we conclude the session and close it?
I think we've covered it all.
Yeah.
Yes, unless we have any more questions.
No, actually, we covered it all. Thank you so much. It was really interesting for me before even the attendees or any participants for this event. I really thank you all. You made my day. Thank you, and
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Salma.
Thank you all organizers. It's grateful to participate in this event. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.